What is up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new video. A video where we talk about Russia and what is going on in Russia from a Russian guy himself. Yes, guys, I'm a Russian citizen, and I tell you the honest news and what is actually happening inside of Russia and outside of Russia at the same time. So if you're still not subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate if you could hit that like button and the subscribe button, because it would really help me achieve my dreams of coming into the United States of America one day and do it completely legally. In today's video, we're going to be talking about various things like explosion in alcohol distilleries inside Russia, the Russian car brand called Lada, and them making vehicles for the government officials that they might not be a big fan of because they're used to driving around in their luxurious German cars, talking about the Georgian parliament elections, and about Russian school children getting talks about how North Korea is such a good friend of Russia. So let's get straight into this one. The first topic that I wanted to talk about is the mayor of Nevenminsk, somewhere in Russia, Mikhail Minenkov, formulated the way that Russians live inside of the Putin's regime. Let's check out this little clip and let's talk about it.
Who's a patriot, Mish? So, this subconscious love for the motherland, I translate this: when you owe your motherland, but your motherland don't owe you anything. This is when I have to give birth to children for the country, for myself. Do not ask, but how much money will they pay me? When I have to go defend the motherland because I'm obliged. And where? Happiness with these relationships. Joy should be in this relationship, in the construction itself. Joy there should be, joy in 20 years. That I will give birth to child land, there will be blue sky, there will be no war, that will child graduate from college and will be a smart person.
So you could see the mayor of a Russian town, the person who lives from Russian taxes, he says that the Russian citizens owe everything to their own country and the country doesn't owe them anything. How the heck does this work? I'm pretty sure that many Russian people are paying taxes and the government is supposed to be helping out its own citizens. But this way, we could see the reality of Putin's regime inside of Russia right now. If you're a Russian, you owe your life to Russia. But Russia doesn't owe you anything. All we could see from the words that this mayor has said, he basically described slavery and that every single Russian is a slave to their own country. And this is the reality of it, and we could see by the words he has said. The next topic I wanted to talk about is about this famous drunken guy called Gurulev. And he is always on the Russian television in one of the biggest propagandist shows out there. Matter of fact, he is a deputy of the 8th State Duma for the United Russia Party. I want to show you this video right here.
And today when you come home, answer the question, what did you do for the country today for victory? What did you do? If you did not answer this question, then, my friend, the day was spent aimlessly, and in wartime this is essentially betrayal.
When talking about the way he speaks and the way he looks, seems like the only thing that he is doing good for the country is that he captures Finlandia every single day. And by Finlandia, I don't mean Finland. I'm talking about the vodka called Finlandia. You can see it right here. By the way he looks and by the way he talks, he actually captures that every single evening. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be even surprised if he does it every single morning. Let's talk a little bit about Russia and the economy of Russia as well. There's a lot of different YouTubers in Russia that have come from Western countries and praising how amazing Russia is with its traditional family values, and that the economy is going strong, and that the sanctions are in no way affecting Russia. They show everybody a good life and that everything is so much cheaper than in the United States. But they don't talk about the main point, which is the power of purchase, which in Russia is very low. Matter of fact, Russia can forget about owning their own apartment until at least 2027. After today's increase in the key rate from 19% to 21%, regular mortgages in Russia will become even more expensive and unaffordable. The day before, Russian banks had already raised rates on market programs to an average of 25 to 27% per year. But now rates will rise even more. This is what the experts believe. Can you imagine how much money you gotta pay to actually be able to buy yourself an apartment in Russia? It is unbelievable. And after reading this news, I have found and calculated the cost of a mortgage after the key rate increased. So we could see right here, as an example, we took a 50 square meter apartment for 12.5 million rubles with a down payment of 10% and a market rate of 27%. That is $128,345 for that apartment. The overpay that you're going to be paying for 10 years will be 21 million rubles, which is $215,619. And for 20 years, you're going to be paying 49 million rubles, which is $503,000. So basically, for an apartment that you're going to be buying, after 10 years, you're going to pay double. And after 20 years, you are just paying, literally, 4 times the price. Imagine you take a mortgage for 20 years. By the time you finish off paying that off, you could have bought yourself 4 apartments. Come on, guys. Complain about your interest rates in Europe, the United States. Come on, guys. Complain about it. Look at the most democratic country in the world, Russia, with one of the best economies in the world. You only pay 4 times what you could have been paying for an apartment, which is only 50 square meters. That is not a very big apartment. Would you get yourself a loan like that if you live in Russia? Obviously not. And what will happen to the prices of rents in Russia in general? They will also rise. If the key rates rise, the mortgage rates rise, the rent price will also rise. Which means ordinary Russians, or any Russians, matter of fact, will not be able to afford buying themselves an apartment. Not even talking about houses, guys, talking about small apartments. And it's going to be very tough for them to actually be able to rent an apartment, considering that the average salary in Russia, or in Moscow, matter of fact, is around $500 to $600. With key rates like this, you're going to be paying all of your salary for a 1-bedroom apartment. To the next news, Ukrainian drones attacked 2 distilleries near Voronezh region. 2 people were injured, 2 residential buildings, and 1 outbuilding was also damaged. A total of 21 Ukrainian drones were shot down in Russia last night. What can we see from here? And you might be wondering, why are the Ukrainians attacking the distilleries? Are they trying to make Russians stop drinking vodka? Are they thinking about the health of the Russian people? Well, actually not. In distilleries like this, they make alcohol and they also make fuel for rockets in those distilleries because they use alcohol. So you can imagine that those distilleries that produce during daytime vodka and during nighttime rocket fuel is a very big military object for the Ukrainian forces, and they try their best to eliminate them. And at the same time, they're definitely going to be raising the price of vodka in Russia, which the guy that was talking about what can you do for your country and how you can make a win, Gurulov, is definitely not going to be having a good time because he will have to pay a bit more for his vodka, just like other Russian citizens. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are not going to be happy about it whatsoever. Now to the very interesting news, which is about Georgia. As you guys know, Georgia has been a country that has been wanting to go and join the European Union for a very long time. But the government of Georgia is working very closely with the Russian government. And the Georgian people really wanted to get those government officials out of the parliament. So they had an election for a parliament change, which obviously didn't work out as expected. The head of Central Election Commission of Georgia announced the victory of the ruling Georgian Dream Party in the parliamentary elections. After counting 99.64% of the votes, the party gained 54%. At the same time, the majority of those who voted abroad chose opposition parties. Georgian Dream gained 17%. The opposition in total about 70%. Also, Georgian Dream lost the elections at all polling stations in Tbilisi, which is the capital of Georgia. The leadership of Azerbaijan has already congratulated Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kabahidze on the victory of the elections, on the victory of the Georgian Dream. Kabahidze himself stated that the election showed a decline in the opposition's ratings and the protests will not interfere with the work of the parliament. Obviously, a lot of people were not happy, and this is a quote that I want to read out to you. Recognizing these elections is impossible. This is a tantamount to recognizing Russia's arrival here, subordinating Georgia to Russia. Georgian President Salom Zurabishvili called the recent elections illegitimate and called for protests. The president has called for protests, and you can see by the footages right here, they have already starting to begin. According to Zurabishvili, the elections were totally falsified, and as independent institutions, she could not recognize them. The president called on opposition supporters to come out of the country's parliament today at 7 o'clock. She also said that recognizing these elections is a tantamount to Russia's arrival and subordination of Georgia. I quote, "This is not why I came to this country. This is not why our ancestors lived, and we will not accept this," the president concluded. So basically, the party that has won is very close ties with the Russian government. And that is the government that want to keep a very close relations with Russia. Whereas a lot of Georgian people were hoping that they will be able to actually join in the European Union and start a European life. But it seems like Vladimir Putin does not want to let the Georgians go and have a free life. He still wants to control all the post-Soviet countries, which is very unbelievable. He should be thinking about his own country and the state that it's in right now. But no, he thinks about other countries and that they should not join the European Union. Because if Georgia would have joined the European Union, the Russians would look at them and be like, wait a minute, why are they living a better life than us? I thought the European Union was a bad place. What is going on? They can travel all around Europe. It's easier for them to fly to different countries. How is this possible? This is what they are going to be thinking. That is, when Georgia joins the EU, for example, it's going to be a big, big brain breaker for Russian people because they will actually might start understanding that all the propaganda that had been pouring into their ears for the past 25 years is actually propaganda and it is not true. Now, a little bit to the jokes. As you guys know, Russia has its own automotive company called Lada, and I've actually been to their dealerships when I was in Russia making videos for you, so you can definitely go ahead and check them out. But the Russian company has made a vehicle called Lada Aura. Ooh, what a name. The thing is, Russians don't actually produce their own cars, and as a Russian and a car guy, I find it unbelievable that Russians cannot produce a good car. The reason for it is corruption and all that stuff. But anyways, this is basically probably a Chinese car, but the Lada Aura was supposed to be like the business class of Ladas. It's one of those cars that should be competing with a BMW 5 Series, a Toyota Camry, a Mercedes E-Class. Yes, a Lada. You heard me right. But it was proposed that those vehicles are going to be replaced from the German business class vehicles that the government officials drive in to swap them out for a Lada Aura. But guess what? The Russians officials do not want to be inside of a Lada. And let me read this out to you. Civil servants were unhappy with the lack of rear air vents and a separate climate control zone, which puts them at risk of sweating and coming to various meetings with wet backs. In addition, the deputies complained about the windows without automatic closing, the short armrest, and only one USB port, the lack of a table for a laptop, a sunroof, a panoramic roof, and the adjustment of the rear seat. So they're basically saying, how comes is this a business class if it doesn't have all the stuff that the German business class has and the Japanese business class have? This is not a competition right here. We could see that the public servants of Russia, as they call them here, do not like it, which means that the car is utter rubbish. And I didn't even need to read this news to know about this, but I find it hilarious that the Russian government officials that praise Russia and say that the West is evil are still riding around the evil Western cars. Go ahead and drive a Lada or something like that. And to the last news that I wanted to talk about. In Khabarovsk, school children were given a talk about the memoirs of Kim Il-sung. The first movement explained to the students why we are friends with Korea. Events on relations between Russia and North Korea have begun in Russian educational institutions. In Khabarovsk, a history teacher gave students a lecture on the first volume of the book by the first eternal president of the DPRK, In the Whirlwind of the Century, and showed them a magazine, Korea. According to the teacher, the hour and a half of conversation flew by in an instant, and the students were impressed by the literary work of Kim Il-sung. The teacher announced a discussion of the Juche idea and said that the friendship between Moscow and Pyongyang would bring the collapse of American imperialism closer. In Sergeyev Posad, students of the Socio-Economic Technical School celebrated the day of foundation of the DPRK Labor Party. The organizers were the Movement of the First and the Russian-Korean Friendship Club. The students were told about the militant wing of the party, the attitude towards veterans in Korea, and the pogrom of fascists in the Caucasus. Then there was a presentation of the topics, myths about the DPRK, and why we are friends with Korea. Can you imagine this, guys? In Russian schools, they talk about how North Korea is great and why Russia are friends with them, and how Russia and North Korea are going to be together destroying the American imperialism. Ooh, I've said this before, I'm a Russian citizen, but seeing news like this coming out of Russia, I'm like, guys, you're definitely smoking something way too strong. What is going on? You are working with North Korea. Now you're saying how North Korea is great. Now you're teaching the children about how North Korea is amazing and how Russia and North Korea is gonna destroy the imperial United States. Meanwhile, most people are having American phones, American culture, American cars, Western cars, all around Russia. And you're bringing this propaganda to kids. This is the route that Russia has chosen. Very unfortunate, and I find it very disappointing. And it seems like we're not going to be seeing a happy end for a very long time. What do you guys think about this? I would love to hear your opinions and comments about every single topic that we have discussed in this video, because I read every single comment and I actually find it really interesting to find out your own opinion. I would really appreciate if you could subscribe and like, and also if you like automotive videos, you could check out my second channel called Sanctioned. The links are going to be in the description, and soon enough, there's going to be another video popping out very soon. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time.